Well, what's going on, guys? 7:21 at night. It's the 3rd of May, 2022. And it is a conclusion of, or just about, of the college semester. Didn't get that much material this time. It was so depressing. The outside of Rosemont and the activities that were happening was a lot more interesting than dealing with the campus itself. It seems like the whole big campus is still waiting for a big return, and it's not happening yet. Well, because everyone else has kept going around Zoom classes or different colleges to continue their education, but apparently AVC is just sleeping on its feet. And while the occasional food truck is nice, expensive as hell, it's better than going over to Subway. But I wonder about that too. The class I had, well, we still have one last homework to do. I'll be doing it. So figure out what the hell the damn thing is in the first place. But regarding the rest of the day, despite the traffic problems we've been having in Lancaster and Roseman, hasn't all been that bad anyway. Hasn't been. Of course, I probably did get into a little session, maybe one where the professor was showing a video, Man of La Mancha. Now, a long time ago, I remember in Mrs. Farmer's English class that in this literature class of ours, she was teaching us about different pieces of literature, and one of them was dealing with Cervantes' Man of La Mancha, Don Quixote. And we were watching for 2 days straight a video presentation of it, a movie. Now, I've forgotten if it was Robert Goulet or Peter O'Toole that did it. I thought it was Robert Goulet. I was so sure about the damn name. It was Peter O'Toole because I was seeing his picture, but substituting it for Robert Goulet. But at least I knew it was a film. However, done in the 60s. But it looked like it was done in a stage play. Just about. I could have sworn it was. And I still couldn't research it for the life of me at this point. But while they were singing The Impossible Dream, and there was discussions happening between the students and me regarding how they were looking at things and how I was looking at things. They want existentialism, they want reason. I mean, they're being taught by others, and we're coming across different authors who are trying to teach the world how to just be reasonable, logical. And I said, yeah, zeros and ones. They're like, huh? It's like you can't teach romanticism. You have to feel it. Feelings are not quantifiable. They are not digitized. We cannot go zeros and ones on anything else just to get the analysis here. We can't go antiseptic. We have to go and we can't go analytical on it. It's like taking a look at the infamous Mona Lisa, or better yet, Sistine Chapel. Sistine Chapel. It was a work of passion. It was a work of soul. It was a work of art. And art is not subjective to zeros and ones. It is subjected to the human soul, to the mind, to the imagination, to the spirit, if you wish. But you cannot analyze it. You cannot put it into a damn test tube and figure this shit out. Nor can you try putting it through a litmus test and analyze it to death. It has to be experienced. There has to be an aha moment deep inside of us that's not touchable, not antiquated, but it's there. It's like it's on its own quantum level, but a quantum level we cannot analyze. And I was trying to make the students understand this, not to mention the professor about this one. I mean, he was very interested in what was going on. He was still trying to understand what was going on. If I wanted to get this professor to understand what romanticism is, I would refer him over back to his wife, because she has an idea what romanticism is. Being Professor Jennings, going through English literature at this point over here, there are certain things in there that are actually would motivate the soul. There are certain words, there are certain characteristics that would actually jar the soul into action at this point over here. It's like a calling card. And if you really want to be motivated in the soul, you got to contact with nature on it. If you really want to see the soul or the romanticism of it, because sometimes the romanticism is in nature, not the innate animal bestiality we're looking at. However, some people may think that is, and they'll use Freudian logic to analyze and rationalize it. All the rationalizations. Because the brain is split into two things. It's rational or irrational. Irrational, we cannot understand it. Rational is rational. We can understand this. It's quantifiable. It's zeros and ones. Doesn't they understand this thing? And we're not talking about just the digital technology we're talking about here at this point over here. Rationalizations. We need rational. We want explanations. We need explanations. We cannot figure this shit out because we're stupid. We're stupid. The human race is absolutely stupid at this point over here, despite all its technological advance at this point over here. Despite sending out ion drive starships, or actually spaceships, satellites that go out in space. We're so stupid. We go under the water over here just to see just to look around. So stupid we even visit a volcano if we have to. And we're so stupid that someone paints a picture with a brush, with colors. And colors usually represent things. And yes, we're doing the critical thinking on this one, aren't we? But they would represent what is supposed to be. And everyone is trying to figure out why. The reason of everything. Why? But it doesn't make sense. The irrationality doesn't make sense. Because irrationality, it wants to be. You're trying to put control over chaos half the time, and the struggle continues. We struggle at the chaos and confusion. We struggle at the control and domination. We want. We desire. We demand. We are ego. And this videotape is being sent over to the damn it's being sent over to the class and to the professor. So forgive the language. In class, we have to keep it civil. When I do my tapes, sometimes I get out of it. And my language is not suitable for listening sometimes. More saltier than usual. But how do you define what's salty and what's not? I challenge the students and I challenge the professor at this point over here. What is salty and what is not? You're going to throw your rationalization and your chemical analysis brain in working order at this point. You have to tear apart through the elemental chart to see what are the chemical components of it. Okay, we understand the chemical components. Why? Well, see, the tongue is suited with electrical impulses, certain specialized sensory organs. And these are transmitting the acidity and the sharpness and the intensity, the flavor of the two chemical combined. Does this not sound Freudian to you? Does this not sound logical? So that would be an argument. Ha ha ha! Yes. So what's salty and what's not? Dare you say that to me? The ego, just gave you the answer. Pay attention to this, professor, and you guys in the class. Ego! Not your petty, pathetic mindset goofball ideas that you think you know what reality is, even though you keep punching it up left and right. You cannot Google reality. It is in front of your face. It is all around you. It may not be elemental, but you sure don't know about it, do you? Case in point. You have a nightmare. You have a major nightmare that's scaring the living crap out of you. You wake up. Are you in your right place? Are you in the safe place? What is your physical condition right now? How is your metabolic rate going? How is your pulse? How is the respiration? How is the moisture content on your skin? Indication and factors at this point one will look at. Medical, quantifiable, reasonable, Freudian. Are you real or are you not real? Pinch yourself. You pinch something. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? Or are you still back in it? Science fiction authors throughout the ages have been delving into the realms of the other worlds, of other perceptions at this point. There are authors out there who have written shorter stories that you'll never see, only because they got them buried so badly in somewhere else that it takes a while just to dig them through. U.S. Copyright Office is usually the chief primary research, but you would have to know the title of the story. And if you don't know the title, but you know the substance of the story, perhaps it'll take you a little bit more time quantifying search engines to see a certain story that would put you on edge. A story I came across a long time ago in an English class in high school. A science teacher turned science fiction teacher as well. She was teaching us about a certain story. A guy split between two realities. Neither are the same, are they? Two different realities. Whoa, weird. And yet the weird seemed to be having a problem because they kept crossing with this guy's mind. Which was the reality and which was the fantasy? And the problem is, both were conflicting on the body itself, forcing a change, either quantifiable or not. Was it dreams? Was it not dreams? And by the time you read the end of the book, actually you read a short story there, you would hope that one particular reality would help this guy. But in the end, you were thinking the wrong way. And the correct way, well, that was self-explanatory. But then again, you really had to get into the story to find out. One looked like it was the future, but the other one looked like it was back in the 40s or 50s technology. But both were hammering out on the guy's psyche, on the perceptions. Quantifiable on both sides, and yet not. And this is the reason why fantasy writers are always having an issue concerning about how to explain science and pseudoscience to the rational. Because they want the zeros and ones. They want the logic. The ego don't care. The ego wants chaos and confusion at this point. It wants everything to be focused around it because it is the universe and that is it. It simply wants to be. It simply wants to be it. Whatever the hell it is. And you have to go with it or else not. Confused yet? How do you think we're dealing with every single day? We're dealing with that battle all the time with our conscious and subconscious and our dreams and our reality check. The guy with the two realities, and he was battling it out conscious. While one side goes to sleep, the other one wakes up and deals with the reality check. But which was the dream and which was the reality? Now, I'll take you folks and a professor on another mind trip. But this time, you're going to be dealing with nature itself. You're not going into a dark sea forest over here to hear animal sounds or anything else like that. No, 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 no. No, you need to hear nature scream and yell her head off at the rocks, at the birds. And you need to hear how the howl and the fury of a storm is. And you need to be right in the middle of it. Of course, you might tear you guys apart left and right. Wind, water, rain, temperature, pressure, salinity factors. How about the sheer terror of it all? Boom! There goes the lightning around you. You're looking all around for that lightning bolt. You didn't hear it, you didn't see it. But it was there, was it? If you couldn't see it, you couldn't hear it, then how do you know it was there? Smell the smoke on your clothing. Ground zero. Now, are you still alive, or are you still hammering away with your discombobulated circulatory system, and not to mention your nervous system, with that much energy going through you? That's a reality check that we deal with every single day in science. Science fiction? I am He-Man! I've been struck by lightning. Now I am the largest guy around here with the biggest muscles around over here. Ready to take on Skeletor. Yes, it's a 1980s cartoon, but it was also 90s and not to mention 2000s. You can check up on cable somewhere or internet research for it. But how's a guy survive that much energy going through him and becoming a muscle-bound grotesque? Fantasy. Fantasy is subconscious. Fantasy is not quantifiable. But put a regular guy under the damn lightning, and guess what happens? ER room. We deal with it on a constant basis. Back to the beach. I see myself standing on the beach at rocks. I'm standing on the rocks, looking proud as a peacock, feeling the waves in the water. And I'm feeling one with the elements. I'm feeling one with whatever drives it. Because here's the thing. Everyone kept missing it every time I kept saying that I died 3 times and came back to life, and everyone else was so assuredly that you die once and that's about it. Without other further knowledge, without further information coming into your brains, you would never know that there are a lot of people walking beside you, that you'll never realize that they actually been and how many times coming back. But you didn't know that, did you? Not until the time was right to say something about it, and you still missed it. There's a lot of things to heaven and earth than we know, Horatio. There's a lot more things out there beyond our own recognition. And it takes an imagination. It takes the leap of faith. It takes the leap beyond the quantum. The quantum, we want to understand everything else. I'll try a simpler experiment for you guys. This one I dug up out of the Book of Cosmos of Carl Sagan. Flatlanders versus the ball. This ball comes to a flatland universe. Everyone's got a geometrical, flat, two-dimensional shape. From round to sharp edges. And they're dealing with their lives. Two-dimensional thinking. That's their movement. Now, granted, I don't have a ball here. I got a ball. And this ball is looking at the Flatlanders, wondering what the hell are the people. He picks on one particular square. Of course, he's maneuvering himself. You notice what kind of maneuvering we're doing here? Third dimension. Two-dimensional thinking. Three-dimensional. We have. But a flatlander can't think that, can he? He thinks this way. To me, this is like reason half the time in the first place. Without imagination, without anything to go contrary on this one, to introduce us to something beyond that, then we have no idea what depth is. Depth, you can even hear a clap. A clap of a thunderhead. Clap of energy hitting a target. But the clap is away from the target, being blasted away. The air molecules being vibrated. But dead center. You may hear it, but probably faster than you can recognize it, because you're already the target. Back to the ball. He looks at the square, picks him up, and the square is like, ah! Ah! What's going on? What are you? I don't know what you want. Can you put me somewhere? I'll put you down. What's down? I just picked you up. What's up? Why am I here? This is weird. Okay, put you down here, and you're a flatlander all over again. So how is this guy going to be able to explain something of an out of reasonable nature? There is no definable thing. It is something beyond him. You look at a seascape. For some people, it's just a seascape. But for me, and I'll tell you a lot of cruisers out there too, people who go on cruise ships all the time, they don't have to quantify what they're looking at. They enjoy it. It's It's there. Enjoy it. It's the moment. It's the moment in time and space. Epoch. Earmarked. Memory. You are meant to be there at that moment to visualize something. You are meant to be there. And how can we be sure about that? How can we be sure about that? I know theologians, I know college professors, psychologists, and behavioral therapists, and everybody else has got letters up to yin yang to describe their ego in order to describe the surroundings to the people because they think they can. There is no way that they can describe beauty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the behind of the soul. It is not quantifiable. A seascape is beautiful in itself, especially if you add sunset or sunrise to it and you got clouds in the air. And somehow through the clouds you get radiating bands of light and shadow, perpendicular, linear, geometric, coming out, shooting out in a crown. And here comes the dome. I've seen days like that. I've seen sunsets like that. There's nothing to quantifiable. And if you want to see something similar to that effect of our own desert landscapes, I suggest portraits over at the Southwestern Museum in Griffith Park of landscapes being painted. Gives you a sense of things. Getty Museum is a good place. I've just never been there before. I'm not much into marble statues, but I'm into landscapes a bit. Photographic, but also artistic. And it takes an artist's mind, it takes an artist's soul to put that much beauty into it, and you can't quantify it. You can't qualify it, you can't quantify it, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder at this point over here. This is the thing I was trying to tell you. The beauty of Dulcinea in the movie that we were watching. Now, I got it screwed up. It may have been Peter O'Toole that my old English teacher had brought it to us to watch, and we watched it on a VHS tape. Ancient technology. Even the professor ought to recognize what ancient technology is all about. I thought it was Goulet. I thought he almost had the same voice, but it was Peter O'Toole, because I remember seeing him. That gaunt in the face, the angular of his face. It was more like this. And his eyes were hollow and sunken. I know because of makeup, but still. He was trying to show them as hollow and sunken because he felt like there was nothing left in life to live for. There's nothing more. We look for the why. We look for the quantity. Why do we want to live? Because if we've already felt we failed, and we're not going to do it again. We're not going to do it again. I know too much about that. Way too much. Too much history. But to hear him sing it, and then to hear Dulcinea throw it back in his face. Oh my God. The magic was there. There was no sparkles, but the magic was there. The difference between you guys and me is I was brought up on the romance of things. You didn't have to be in love with a woman or in love with a car, maybe. But you had to fall in love with something that moved you, motivated you. And some things actually did. Some elements, some pictures, some scenery motivated me to invoke passion, to invoke. Okay, if we're going to get into the Freudian thing and also the neurochemistry of your brain system here, your squishy little organ called the brain is usually split up between conscious and subconscious, and somewhere in there you've got your neurons firing up with all the nice little electrical impulses going between the synapses here, carrying the information, and therefore this is supposed to be the emotions that you're feeling here, because it's all chemical. This is the rationality of it. No, it isn't. The zeros and ones are at it again. Simply put, the rationalities and the rationalists out there, they want things quantifiable. Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. Some of you may have tried to do an essay on it. And then you've got Orwell, 1984. What's the difference? Orwell does it out of fear. Huxley does it out of control. But it's supposed to be in fear, there's supposed to be control. No, it's just fear for Orwell. It was always control for Huxley. Everything had to be controlled, quantifiable. But of course you can go a little out of it because you've got the chemicals necessary to destabilize whatever kind of logic system you actually had in your brain. Soma! The nice little lovely pill to screw you over one way or another. Soma! Okay, we have that today. Yes, we do. We have biochemistry. We have pharmaceuticals. We have meds prescribed. We have painkillers. We have your dopamine. We have your soma. We're more like it than we realize. We're seeing more of ourselves isolated and cataloged than anything else. You can't catalog the Mantle of Mancha because he is on a different level, he's on a different mission than anybody else realizes. His personal quest becomes the audience's quest. We want to know. We want to go with him. We want to find out what's going on. We want to join up with him to feel what he's feeling, to go through what he's going through. We want to feel and share in his pain and in his sorrow and his quest that now is ended at the time of his demise. But his soul is still on the quest. It's still out there fighting. Our will is not quantifiable. Our own self inside is not quantifiable. It is not zeros and ones. It is not rational all the damn time. We do need to have rationality to control it in this world. But who knows what else happens beyond? And do we still have it there? Or don't we? No way for us to find out unless we go. And it's a one-way trip. And no one comes back unless you're meant to come back and give details of what's going on. Am I driving you guys crazy yet? You kids are still learning. You kids are still growing. You kids, to me, in my eyes, are still in the sandbox, playing with the sand. You have no idea what goes on outside the playground. And different things happening in the playground. And then again, you look at me in a different sandbox altogether because I got quarantined. Because I put you guys in a sandbox. My punishment, I should have been joining you guys already, thinking I'm more superior than that, because there is one excuse for that. There is a three-letter word. Ego. With that, guys, have a great weekend. If I don't see you again, may the Schwartz be with you.